The Arabs, as well as other Muslims elsewhere, have experimented with everything but Islam over the past century. We've been forced to live under secularism of all types, socialism, communism, liberalism, and none has brought us the solution to our problems. None of them has brought us happiness. Actually, they augmented our suffering. But alhamdulillah, these revolutions, which are inspired by the longing for freedom, but carried along the way by the young men and women of the Jama'ah in every one of these countries, without exception, that will bring the transformation that we are hoping for. But I must, and I will conclude with this remark so that we open the floor. The genius of the young men and women of the Jama'ah, and this is something that we, the older generation, probably were not genius enough to put into practice during our time, or probably circumstances were not ripe yet, is that our youth, the age of my son and daughter, managed to build bridges with youth from other groups, from other ideologies, from other political trends. The mentality that we will do it alone has failed. The mentality that we alone are capable of making a change has gone. We have to agree on a common platform, on a common agenda, that whether you are a Muslim or a non-Muslim, whether you are an Islamist or a secularist, whether you are a male or a female, whether you are young or old, you agree on this agenda, and that's why the Tunisian and Egyptian revolutions succeeded. The agenda is freedom. The agenda is an end to corruption. The agenda is an end to disrespect and humiliation. The agenda is an end to collaboration with the enemies of Islam. The agenda is the liberation of Palestine. See, nobody in the Arab world, I bet you nobody in the Muslim world would disagree on any of these. And that's how our youth managed to bring people from all sectors to work together. For a change, we are not engaged in internal political or ideological disputes. Our energy is not dissipated. To the contrary, you're harnessing energy from everywhere because you have a common agenda. And I think this is one of the lessons you here in Malaysia can benefit from, because you must have issues here you can work on and agree on with others who may not necessarily agree with being a member of a Jama'ah or even with an Islamic agenda. Issues to do with freedom, with the rule of law, with equality before the law, issues to do with an end to corruption, issues to do with transparency and accountability within administration, within management, within government, linking up with other youth elsewhere and to benefit from the sort of experiences they have been through so far. Although the Ikhwan generally belong to what we describe as one school of thought, but the experiences of the Ikhwan in different localities are diverse. Even in the Arab world, if you study the experience of the Ikhwan in Syria, it's different from the experience of the Ikhwan in Jordan, different from the experience of the Ikhwan in Palestine, in the Gulf, etc. And it's definitely going to be different in societies that are not Arab societies, like yours or like in Indonesia or other places. And therefore, we have to recognize that there is uniqueness to every experience. So we don't copy. It's not a question of copying what others are doing. It's a question of looking into their experiences, trying to assess where they went wrong, where they went right, the advantages and the disadvantages, and eventually integrate all of this into the uniqueness of your own locality, deciding what suits you best. There is a lot to say in this regard. I probably have spoken enough stop here and allow for discussion, inshallah, or comments or contributions from our brothers as well. Jazakumullah khair. I have to confess here that as a young man 30 years ago, we thought that being in Dar al-Arqam, Ibn Abi al-Arqam, was the rule. But actually, as I grew wiser, I discovered that this was the exception, not the rule. The message Rasulullah ﷺ was sent was meant for mankind, for the whole world. Why did it not occur to us before to ask, why then would he resort to Dar al-Arqam ibn Abi al-Arqam? Simply because this community was a very small, fragile community and was being persecuted, and they were not allowed to speak in public. In other words, they were on the run. So where you are on the run, you tend to self-preserve, you need to protect yourself. And that's why as soon as Umar ibn Khattab embraced Islam, what happened? He said, Ya Rasulullah, alasna ala al-haq? Are we not on the right path? He said, yes. Then, jum, let's go. Jum. Yes. Let's go, he said. They stood in two lines. At the top of one line, Umar ibn Khattab. At the other line, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. Two great leaders of Quraysh. And they marched toward Al-Kaaba. This is the rule. The rule is that you are in public, not in hiding, not in secret. When the Islamic movement was forced into secrecy, it was because they were being chased, pursued, hanged. And that should not have continued for long if circumstances improved. And if you start a jama'ah in a place where you are not pursued or you are not persecuted, why must you pretend to be persecuted? It's a bit safer. You know, I used to ask this question to our brothers in Jordan. Because in Jordan, when I was also a young student, after going back from England to Kuwait, where my family was, I took my things and books, put them in a car, and drove all the way from Kuwait to Jordan. At the borders, the customs people searched my things and they found all my books, Sayyid Qutb, Muhammad Ghazali, all these things. And a guy from the Mukhabarat was sitting behind a table, secret police. His legs on the table like an American cowboy. And he said to me, are you an Ikhwan? I didn't know what to say, because we were told you shouldn't be telling people that you are an Ikhwan. So rather than say no, I didn't want to lie. I said to him, why? Is the Ikhwan banned in Jordan? He said, no, they are not banned in Jordan. And luckily that was it. He didn't ask any other question. Then I started asking my elders in Jordan, if you are not banned, why are we always in secret? And then when the Mukhabarat arrests somebody for one reason or another, they ask him, are you Ikhwan? And he say, no, I am not Ikhwan. And then they'll beat him. They'll beat him not because he is Ikhwan, they'll beat him because he is lying. See? And then I kept asking the brothers in Jordan, why are we acting as if we are persecuted? We are not persecuted. They have in every town in Jordan a house with a big sign, Darul Ikhwan al-Muslimin, the house of Al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin. Then it's not secret. But unfortunately, when the Ikhwan in Egypt were persecuted, especially in 1966 when Sayyid Qutb was hanged, the sense of victimhood spread everywhere. It used to come to us with the teachings, with the instructions, with everything, and created a very unwholesome situation everywhere. Even in the UK, it wasn't illegal to be an Ikhwan, but we kept it secret until about, 10 years ago. Can you imagine when we came Arabita and we became well-known and public? So that links to engagement. Because if you are a secret organization, if you want to be in a secret organization, you might as well go and join the Freemasons. But the Ikhwan, the Jama'ah al-Islamiyah, the rule is for it to be open, to be able to engage, to be able to talk about the issues, for people to be able to see you for what you are and trust you. Because if people don't see you properly, don't know you, they will suspect you. And that's how the media in Egypt during Nasser's time and afterwards, the media in Syria, in Libya, and other places could easily tarnish our image, could easily talk all nonsense about us because we were hidden. People didn't know us. And we were contributing to this. So engagement requires that we come out in public. Not necessarily telling people I am an ikhwan everywhere, wherever you go, but I mean in terms of activity. We have to have institutions, proper institutions that function properly in the fresh air, in oxygen. Otherwise, carbon dioxide will kill us. Let me now tell you something about my own experience. You see, I prefer to see the Jama'ah as a framework for brotherly and sisterly cooperation on finding the best way of helping fellow human beings around us. But I prefer, on the basis of the experience that I have been through and on the basis of my study of all the Islamic movements in the Arab world, I prefer that the Jama'ah maintain a minimal role in all of this. What do I mean by minimal role? The experiences that I have seen in Egypt, in Jordan, in the Gulf countries, even in Britain, any project directly run and controlled and funded by the Jama'ah tend to fail. I'm not talking about Malaysia, you are the experts, but I'm talking here about an experience I've had. And the reason for this is that Jama'ah generally is not run as a corporation. There are elements within the Jama'ah that prevent it from being able to run as a proper institution in the commercial sense, that is, or in the industrial sense, I should say. Because there is a sentimental element, there is an ideological element, there is a historical element, there are all sorts of elements. This is not a disadvantage. I'm not saying that this is negative. This is part of the nature of the Jama'ah. And the best way to overcome this is to encourage capable, talented, and professional members of the Jama'ah to start independent projects, what we call today NGOs. These NGOs, first, as I said yesterday, if they succeed, we can claim the credit because these are our brothers and sisters. If they fail, we say we have nothing to do with them. And that minimizes the losses. Because, you know,
are you talking about me?
Whether we're talking here politics, whether we're talking economics, whether we're talking media activities, whether we're talking about social activities, whether we're talking about media, etc., anything, charity, charitable work, the most successful organizations linked to the Jama'ah are the ones that qualified, talented, professional members of the Jama'ah established and ran in a professional manner. Those are the institutions that benefited the Jama'ah best. You know, I can tell you, I can write volumes about the tragic stories of projects in Jordan or in Egypt or in Britain that after they became empires, we lost them completely. The dynamics of a Jama'ah contradicts the dynamics of professional institutions. Once we accept this fact, it'll be easy. Then we will be at peace of mind. And we know how to proceed forward.